but a mob cannot be reasoned with. And let me tell you what, right here, this is democracy in action. This is democracy in action. Pilate's got a whole group of people before him, and he says, what should be done to him? And the majority say, crucify him. And that's that. In a democratic system, majority rules. If you have a pure democracy, 51% of the people decide what to do. And you know what that means? It means 51% of the people can choose to oppress and persecute the other 49%. And there's nothing they can do about it. There's no protection for minorities in a democracy. A democracy is the most evil, wicked form of government ever devised by mankind. Our founding fathers thought that. Because in a pure democracy, there are no checks on the will of the people. I think it was Ben Franklin said, one of the founders, I forget which one, they said democracy is two wolves and a sheep deciding what's going to be for dinner. That's democracy. Our founders did not create a democracy. They created a republic, a constitutional republic. There's a big difference. Most people weren't even allowed to vote. You know, the people think the founders created a democracy. Women weren't allowed to vote. That's half the population right there. It's not a democracy when half the population can't vote. Of course, the slaves couldn't vote, right? That's another big chunk of the population. People that weren't at least 21 years of old couldn't vote. That's another big chunk of the population. People that weren't landowners couldn't vote. That's another big chunk of the population. People that were illiterate couldn't vote. That's some of the population because states had polling requirements that you had to pass a litmus test or a reading test. You had to pay a poll tax to vote. All kinds of things. The Founding Fathers did not set up a democracy. They wanted a literate, educated, wise electorate, a relatively limited group of people to choose the leaders because the rest of the people are too dumb to do it. And that's just a fact. The president wasn't popularly elected. The Electoral College elected the president. And the Electoral College doesn't have to follow the popular vote. You know that, right? They don't have to if they don't want to. The senators were not popularly elected. They were chosen by the states. The state governments appointed the senators until 1913 when they amended the Constitution to make senators popularly elected. The president, the Senate were not popularly elected. The only ones that were popularly elected was the Congress. The other branches weren't. The judges are appointed. The Founding Fathers did not create a democracy on purpose. They wanted to protect the rights of the people, and especially minorities. If you're a minority in a democracy, you are in big trouble. So that's why it really irks me every time I hear most of these leftists out there talking about our democracy, our democracy. They're attacking our democracy. We don't have a democracy. Or it's getting closer to that, but we shouldn't have one. We didn't have one originally. But this is democracy in action right here. You got a mob, and you say, what are we going to do? And the majority of them say, kill them. Well, the people have spoken. What are you going to do?